Imagine you're just 9 years old, and every single day you go to school hungry. Your family is so poor that sometimes the only meal you get is one small sandwich your mom manages to make. But one day, you see a little boy on the other side of the fence. He's even hungrier than you. His clothes are torn, his eyes are empty. What would you do? Would you keep your only food for yourself? Or would you give it away to a complete stranger, a black boy from the roughest part of town, knowing you'll go hungry the rest of the day? This is the true story of Victoria Thompson, a poor little white girl from rural Georgia, and Isaiah Washington, a starving black boy who had nothing. One small act of kindness behind a rusty school fence changed both their lives forever. And 20 years later, that same boy came back as a billionaire. Stick around till the end, because what happened next will restore your faith in humanity. If you were that little 9-year-old girl and this was your last meal of the day, would you have shared it? Drop a yes or no in the comments right now. In the small town of Millbrook, Georgia, life wasn't easy for anyone. The town was divided, not just by race, but by money. On one side lived families who barely made ends meet. On the other, well, some didn't even have a proper home. Victoria Thompson was 9 years old. She had bright blonde hair, big curious blue eyes, and the kindest heart you'd ever see. Her father had left when she was a baby. Her mother worked 2 jobs, cleaning houses in the morning and waitressing at night. They lived in a tiny trailer where the roof leaked when it rained. Every morning, Victoria's mom would pack her a small peanut butter sandwich and an apple if they were lucky. That was it. No snacks, no juice box, just enough to survive the school day. One afternoon in September 2004, Victoria was eating her sandwich near the back fence of the school playground. That's when she first saw him. A skinny black boy, maybe 10 years old, standing on the other side of the tall chain-link fence. His name was Isaiah Washington. He lived with his grandmother in a rundown house nearby. His parents had passed away in a car accident 2 years earlier. Some days he didn't eat at all. Isaiah's stomach was growling so loud that Victoria could hear it from her side. He looked at her sandwich with pure hunger in his eyes, but he didn't beg. He just stood there quietly. Victoria's heart broke. She looked at her half-eaten sandwich, then at the boy. Without saying a word, she tore the sandwich into 2 pieces and pushed one half through the holes in the fence. "Here, you look hungrier than me," she said softly. Isaiah's eyes widened in shock. He took the piece with trembling hands. "Thank you," he whispered. "I ain't ate since yesterday." That was the beginning. Every single day after that, Victoria started saving half of whatever little she had and bringing it to the fence. Sometimes it was half a sandwich. Sometimes just an apple or a few crackers. Isaiah started waiting for her every afternoon. They never played together. They never even touched hands because of the fence. But they talked. Victoria told him about her dreams of becoming a teacher. Isaiah told her he wanted to become rich one day so he could take care of his grandma and never be hungry again. One day Isaiah said something that would stay with Victoria forever. "When I grow up and become rich, I'm gonna come back and marry you. I promise." Victoria laughed. "You're silly. We're just kids." But Isaiah looked dead serious. "I mean it, Victoria. One day I'm gonna keep my promise." Comment. Fence, if you believe childhood promises can actually come true. And tell me, what was the kindest thing a stranger ever did for you when you were a kid? As the years passed, life got even harder. Victoria's mother got sick. Medical bills piled up. They had to move to an even smaller place. Victoria started working small jobs after school, helping at the local diner, just to help pay rent. Isaiah's grandmother passed away when he was 14. He was put into the foster system. He bounced from one home to another. Some were okay, most were not, but every time he could, he would go back to that old school fence, hoping to see Victoria. One day he went, and she wasn't there. Victoria had switched to a different school because they moved. The fence meetings stopped. Isaiah felt like he lost his only real friend in the world. Before disappearing completely, he left a small note tied to the fence with a piece of string. "I'll find you one day. I still remember my promise." Isaiah, Victoria never saw that note. Years went by. Both kids grew up carrying the memory of that kindness, but life pulled them in completely different directions. Victoria worked extremely hard. She got scholarships, studied education at a community college, and became an elementary school teacher, just like she dreamed. But money was always tight. She lived in a small apartment and drove an old car that broke down every other month. Isaiah, his path was much darker at first. He joined the military at 18 to escape the streets. Served 2 tours in Afghanistan. Came back with scars, both visible and invisible. He was angry at the world. Angry that life had been so unfair. But something inside him never died. That little boy's promise, and the memory of the white girl who gave him her last meal when no one else cared. He used his GI Bill to go to college. Studied computer science and business. Worked crazy hours. Started a small tech company in his garage with 2 friends. Nobody believed in him. But Isaiah had something most people don't: unbreakable grit and a promise burning in his heart. Fast forward to 2023. Isaiah Washington was no longer the hungry boy behind the fence. He was now Isaiah J. Washington, founder and CEO of Bridge Tech, a revolutionary app that connected underprivileged kids with mentors, scholarships, and food programs across America. His company was valued at over $1.2 billion. He had private jets, luxury cars, a penthouse in Atlanta, but something was missing. Every night when he closed his eyes, he saw that rusty fence, and that little blonde girl who saved him from hunger. He started searching for her. It wasn't easy. Victoria had changed her last name after marriage, a short failed marriage that ended in divorce. She was now Victoria Hayes, teaching 3rd grade in a low-income school in Savannah, Georgia. One of Isaiah's employees finally found her after months of searching. When Isaiah saw her picture, he couldn't believe it. She still had the same kind eyes. He didn't tell anyone what he was planning. He just said, "I have to go close the biggest deal of my life." It was a regular Tuesday afternoon. Victoria, now 29, was walking out of her school building carrying a stack of papers. She looked tired. Life as a single teacher wasn't glamorous. She still struggled with bills. Her old car was in the shop again. Suddenly, a sleek black Rolls-Royce Phantom stopped right in front of the school. A tall, well-dressed black man in an expensive suit stepped out. He looked familiar, but she couldn't place him. He walked straight toward her. "Victoria Thompson," he said, his voice deep but soft. She froze. No one had called her Thompson in years. "How do you know that name?" The man smiled, tears forming in his eyes. "It's me, Isaiah, the boy from behind the fence." Victoria's papers fell to the ground. She covered her mouth with both hands. Tears started flowing instantly. "Isaiah, no way." He stepped closer. "I told you I'd come back. I told you I'd keep my promise." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, faded piece of paper, the same note he had tied to the fence all those years ago. "I never forgot what you did for me, Victoria. You gave me your last meal when the whole world turned its back on me. You showed me that kindness still exists." Victoria was crying so hard she couldn't speak. Isaiah continued, "I built everything I have because of that one moment. Every time I wanted to quit, I remembered the little white girl who fed a hungry black boy through a rusty fence." He got down on one knee right there in the school parking lot. "I know we were just kids, but I made you a promise. And today I want to keep it, if you'll let me." He opened a small velvet box. Inside was a beautiful diamond ring. "Victoria, will you marry me?" Victoria said yes. Their wedding was simple but incredibly emotional. Many of Victoria's students and Isaiah's employees attended. But they didn't stop there. Together they launched the Red Ribbon Foundation, a massive charity that provides free meals, mentorship, and education to children living in poverty across America. They especially focus on schools with fences, symbolic of the barrier they once had. Isaiah donated $100 million in the first year. Today, thousands of children are eating because of one little girl's kindness behind a school fence. Victoria and Isaiah now have 2 beautiful children, a boy and a girl. They often tell them the story of how their parents met. And every year on the anniversary, they go back to that old school in Millbrook, Georgia, stand at the same rusty fence, and leave flowers there. Kindness has no color. Kindness has no price. One small act, one half sandwich, changed 2 lives and eventually thousands more. In a world that tries to divide us by race, by money, by background, never underestimate the power of simple human kindness. So let me ask you, what small act of kindness can you do today that might change someone's life 20 years from now? If this story touched your heart, do these 3 things right now. Like this video, subscribe and turn on notifications, comment below with the word kindness, and tell us what you would have done if you were Victoria. Share this video with someone who needs to believe in humanity again. Because stories like this prove that good people still exist, and sometimes, the hungriest boy behind the fence grows up to change the world. I'll see you in the next story. Until then, be kind. Always.